Taoiseach, I'm sure you'll agree that justice delayed is justice denied, and it's a fundamental core function of government to ensure the appointment of judges to our courts in a timely and effective manner. Now, it is quite extraordinary, Taoiseach, that there is still a backlog of up to 1,800 cases before the Court of Appeal waiting to be heard. And that court, as you know, came out of a constitutional amendment established in 2014. Delays had been up to 4.5 years. And in a recent assessment by a law lecturer in Maynooth, despite work that has been underway, he estimates that at the rate of progress, it will take about 11 years for that backlog to be cleared. Now, Chief Justice Denham and the President of the Court of Appeal, Sean Ryan, have appealed to government to fill vacancies to the Court of Appeal. We know there are vacancies in the Supreme Court and the various other courts, district, circuit, that have not been appointed. Now, it is said that the Independent Alliance have frozen the appointment of any new judges as a core principle pending the enactment of the Judicial Appointments Bill. That, in my view, is unacceptable. You indicated, Taoiseach, that that was not the case, but a subsequent spokesman, after you indicated to, I think the Labour Party had raised it, said there would be no appointments until the Judicial Appointments Bill had passed through the House. Now, it's a very serious issue, Taoiseach, because victims of crime deserve to have their cases heard and deserve to have justice achieved. And it's the government, essentially, through this paralysis that's been caused by the Independent Alliance and the weakness of the other side of government to face up to it, is essentially traversing and interfering with the constitutional rights of citizens to have justice achieved. It's a very basic thing in a democracy. And is it the case that we're to have no judges appointed until government gets around to passing the necessary legislation? It's unacceptable, Taoiseach. And I would put it to you that any government that's incapable of appointing judges is a dysfunctional government. And you need to rectify that, Taoiseach, very, very quickly indeed. So, Taoiseach, can you indicate that it is the government's intention to appoint judges forthwith, and that the opposition of the Independent Alliance will not be allowed hold sway until the government's bill is published?
Thank you, Deputy Martin. Taoiseach.
Well, you're certainly correct when you say justice delayed is justice denied. I'd make the point to you, Deputy Martin, that when I was elected Taoiseach in the first instance, the delay in getting cases into the Supreme Court was over 3 years. And there was a huge backlog right across the entire spectrum of the judicial courts. One of the issues that arose was that there should be a Court of Appeal set up to deal with cases that the High Court would have dealt with, but that should not go directly to the Supreme Court because of the delays there, but that would be sent instead to the Court of Appeal to make a decision. And that took some time to set that up, and that was set up and began to work very effectively. Now, as I understand it, and I don't have the figures in front of me, Deputy Martin, I think the number of judicial vacancies is very small at the moment in all of the courts. Now, I may be wrong, and you may have different information. I don't obviously engage with members of the judiciary on a regular basis, for very good reason. So, as I understand it, the number of vacancies of judicial appointments are very small. And you're aware of the process that has been followed for very many years. Now, the Taoiseach has set out her views in respect of putting together the Judicial Appointments Commission. That has been responded to by the Parliamentary Draftsman's Office, and as I understand it, has been sent to the Department of Justice. But also understand that coming from the Court of Appeal is a request that there be a further subsection set up in the Court of Appeal, which would require, I'm not sure how many judges. And this is not what was intended. And far be it from me to say that the learned members of the bench are not able to do the job, which they are. the intention in setting up the Court of Appeal was to, not have to have so many cases lying for years before they would be dealt with by the Supreme Court. So it's not true to say that no judges can be appointed. It's not true to say that no judges will be appointed. The legislation is being proceeded with to drafting conclusion and will be brought in here. But clearly, Deputy Martin, I'm quite sure that if it was absolutely necessary to make a judicial appointment or judicial appointments, then that would happen. But as I understand it now from some weeks ago, the number are actually very small, and they're not in the Court of Appeal, as far as I can recall. You might have a district court or circuit court or whatever else. But I'll check the figures and I'll advise Deputy Martin of what it actually means now. That's different than a request to set up a new subsection of the Court of Appeal dealing with X number of judges.
Thank you very much, Deputy Martin.
Could take over a decade to clear. That's not mine. That's Seth Barrett-Tillman, law lecturer in Maynooth. And I understand, and you can confirm whether this has happened or not, that the Chief Justice and the President of the High Court have actually approached the Government with a view to the appointment of more judges to the Court of Appeal. Now, either that has happened or it hasn't happened. And you didn't answer my question. Is it the case that the Independent Alliance has said no more judges can be appointed until the Judicial Appointments Commission is established? Yes or no? Is that the actual position as we speak? Because that's what we're being told week after week via the media, that the Independent Alliance have frozen any more judicial appointments. Now, Deputy Jim McCallan has actually and will be publishing the actual legislation that's required today. Now, the Independent Alliance know all about it because Deputy Callan, who's kind of a learned man in this domain, enlightened the Independent Alliance during the formation talks at the time. And I suspect that members of the Alliance have taken a lot of his lessons on board. We didn't think they'd take them as enthusiastically on board as they currently are now, in freezing and paralysing the appointment of judges. But that legislation will be there and can be adopted by government. But answer the question, Taoiseach, is the Independent Alliance saying no more new judges? And is the government acquiescing to that? And if that is the case, that's dysfunctional, Taoiseach.
Deputy Martin Taoiseach.
No, the Independent Alliance have not attempted to put down their foot and say that no more judges should be appointed. When the last number of judges were appointed, the intention was that they might be the last appointed under the old system, but that the new legislation would come through. But that's not from the Independent Alliance. That is not from the Independent Alliance. And let me say to you, if your information, if your information is as accurate as you say that, as you portray to me, how many vacancies are in the Court of Appeal now? Yeah, but they're not 5 vacancies, as I understand it, on the Court of Appeal. That is for a new subset of the Court of Appeal to hear different cases, which is a different matter. The fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, Deputy Martin, that what we inherited here was a system that was not working effectively. And the judiciary themselves said, what you must do to clear this is fill the District Court, the Circuit Court, the High Court and the Supreme Court, and you need to set up a Court of Appeal. That's what the previous government did, and it filled that with a very good President and filled it with all the numbers that were due. And because of the number of cases that then moved through the High Court, after the Court of Appeal, you now have a backlog built up here. And the judiciary will quite rightly say we need more judges in here to deal with these cases. I'll check the numbers that are vacant, Deputy Martin, and I will advise you this afternoon.